Welcome back to Gaijin Hideout. I'm your host, Jeff, and we're back today. Today we're talking about 10 things that I'm most excited about for Monster Hunter Wilds. So a little bit about me. If you don't know, I am a streamer. I'm pretty new to Monster Hunter. I've got about 500 hours across the series. I found it in August after playing Dragon's Dogma 2 and getting recommended it by chat. And so I've got like 400 hours in World and Iceborne, and then like the other hundreds kind of split 70-30 between Rise and the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, the two different betas. So I'm pretty new, but I've been covering Monster Hunter Wilds pretty intensely, played the beta a good amount, and so I definitely have some takes and some opinions on what is most exciting to me. So we're going to get right into it. Real quick, though, if you haven't already, definitely check me out over at twitch.tv/Gaijin Hideout. Leave me a follow there. It's free, and you'll be able to be live in chat for videos like this and for when my playthrough of Wild starts. So let's get right into it. So for number one, the first thing I want to talk about that I'm most excited about is learning every weapon. So I said this because all of the weapons in Wilds feel so intuitive to pick up and at least like get used to using. You know, some of them you still have to learn. I mean, all of them you have to learn the combos to get really good and stuff. But I just felt so much less painful to like play around with a new weapon this time that I really plan on trying to learn and play every new weapon eventually in Wilds. I like have them in my mind in terms of like waves of how I'm going to do it. Like I'm probably going to main dual blades since I've been enjoying that in Rise for like the first week and like really like unlock as much of the, you know, the different worlds and or like areas and progress the story really far. And then I played around enough in the beta with dual, hammer, bow, and greatsword that I could easily jump into those. But I also got some time playing stuff that I'd never touched before, like gun lance and regular lance, and charge blade, which I mean I have experience with charge blade, but even stuff like the bow guns, which I never touched in Monster Hunter World, just out of fear of like the adjustment to it and stuff. It felt so much more intuitive to just like play around with the weapons. So I think that's like a huge like a huge improvement to the weapon system. And so as a result, I'm really excited about trying out all of the weapons. Basically, it looks like a less painful process than in World and Rise. You know, not to say they're all like painful, but like it was definitely like I had to pick one that matched my personality to really get into it and master it. Whereas with these, even ones that felt like counterintuitive to me, like the hunting horn, didn't feel like pulling teeth, even though I was like totally sucking with the hunting horn. So definitely really excited about the ability to just potentially learn all the weapons very easily. Number two is going to be experiencing the best of Monster Hunter World and Rise combined. So Monster Hunter Wilds, to me, from what I've played, it really seems like it's taking the best of both of the previous two games and combining it and refining it. You know, there's a lot of really like easy things you can point to. Like you have the mounts from Rise, but now they're, you know, a little more integrated into this open seamless world and enhanced a bit. Sucks that they're not dogs. I like dogs, but you know, the bird, you know, the sacred's really cool. Meanwhile, like the monsters, they still feel massive and aggressive and like difficult to a certain degree, like how they were in World. The open world itself, which we'll get into later on in the video, that feels like a very natural evolution of the guiding lands. And just like overall, like, you know, I guess if you compare the two, like World, my first experience as a new player playing World and then switching over to Rise for a bit was that World was very dense and very rewarding. But it was also very convoluted. Like a lot of the systems involved and stuff like that. And it was kind of lacking in style. Rise was much more streamlined and stylistic and like addictive with like the more arcadey style of gameplay. But I think it's fair to say that it's lacking depth, compared to World. And so the gameplay in Wilds, it really feels like World. It really feels like World at its core, and then enhanced with a lot of the icing on the cake that came out of Rise, and then new things that's going to be exclusive to Wilds as well. So I'm really excited to see how this team continues to evolve on all the new things that they've tried in these last two games and put them together. So that's kind of my general way of describing that. But basically, I'm really excited to see them take everything they've learned in the last two games, roll them up into one new game, and add new stuff on top of that. So number 3, quality of life upgrades. Every Monster Hunter game refines things, at least the ones I've played, but Wilds, it looks like there's going to be some next level upgrades that were probably overdue. World and Wilds World and Rise are both, a bit older at this point, and there's several things that they added in Wilds that I think are much appreciated. The radial menu improvements, for example, they added like a feature where you can like auto select from the radial menu the best healing item to contextually heal you based on how much health you have and what items you have in stock. And there's also one for status items, so it'll auto pick the status item if you have it in your pouch and you're poisoned. It'll pick the right item to heal you for poison, for example. Things like there's also like other things that are kind of count as quality of life as a result of it being more open world or like a seamless world. It's like the pop-up camps that you can set up everywhere. So you can you don't have to warp all the way back to base camp. You can warp to like a nearby pop-up camp or just head over to one and change your build and cook and do whatever there. Being able to call your sacred at any moment and change your weapons on the fly. You can have 2 weapons now. Like that's a big quality of life as well. The auto travel on the sacred is really nice. Like just having like an auto GPS is very, very, like targeting something on the map and then just the sacred automatically takes you there. That is like so huge. And it really helps, I don't know. It's just something nice about just being on being able to set yourself on like a guided track at any moment, so you don't get lost or confused, and then you can just focus on like grabbing all the items that you see on the way there. That's really great. I also heard that it sounds like there's going to be more incremental onboarding into the game using the story missions and stuff like that. And that sounded sort of like something they did with Rise with the village quests, which was basically like an easier version of low rank. And I liked that. I liked playing a Monster Hunter where they just kind of held your hand a little bit. I got to just like experience Rise and like see a bunch of the different monsters in the village quest first. And then I had to get good iterating in the hub with low rank and then high rank. And then, they started to add new ones that you could only get to in the hub as well. But having that like initial, just like easier like hand holding part was actually pretty nice. It caught me off guard at first. I like thought I was just doing really good at low rank or something. So it was a little bit of an ego bruise when I found out in Rise that's not what that was. But I did appreciate it in retrospect because I probably would have been struggling a little bit at the start like I did with World. So if they're going to put even more thought into that for Wilds, I think that's overall a win. I could see that being a pain in the butt for veterans, and maybe hopefully there's a way to skip that or just go through that very quickly. But I think overall that one's really good. And then hopefully the online matchmaking and co-op features are much more stable than they were in World. Rise I haven't tried yet, but World was pretty hit and miss. Everybody's got the jokes about it. I was just playing the demo. It was okay. I think the connections was okay. I'm just expecting it to be better just because it's a newer game. So yeah, quality of life upgrades, definitely welcome. Number 4, hunting in a seamless world. This is the big one. Having this huge, wide open, like, set of interconnected biomes that you can like just explore all in one go. No loading screens. No doubling back to pick up a quest just to hunt something. Being able to contextually start quests as you attack a monster, finding them on the map, or going and starting a quest if you want. They give you so much freedom with this. It's a fully immersive experience. I think it's really cool, and I think it's beyond just a quality of life enhancement. I think it's going to bring out like certain play styles that maybe weren't possible in Monster Hunter before. For example, like I got really giddy like seeing how you could just go anywhere and do anything in the beta. Like I saw the vision. We were like constrained, with what we could play, but I saw the vision, and I'm hoping it's going to be like a similar experience that I could potentially do in like how I did when I played Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Like maybe once you get fully onboarded in through the story, and they open up everything and you start to unlock more areas progressively. When I played The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I was able to just zigzag around and just do whatever I wanted for hours, and I like took full advantage of that and just got distracted, doing one thing and then distracted doing that thing and just going everywhere and all over the place. And so this isn't a fully open world game. I don't want to give the wrong impression, but it is seamless. They've removed the need to go through all the quests and mark your monster, pick your quest. So you have to go hunt the targeted monster. They built that into the map a bit more, and it feels more rewarding to just go, instead of doing an expedition, the whole thing is an expedition and you can start quests contextually. So you don't feel like you're wasting time just like wandering around, exploring, when you need to be progressing quests or stuff like that. So I'm hoping that it gives you a bit more of the, like a wanderlust feeling once you get comfortable enough with the systems and everything like that. Psycho Troop says it's a seamless loading screen system. They seem to be just long passages, and while you traverse them, they unload the previous world and loads the next. Yeah, and I think for this game, that's like good enough. I don't think we need, we don't need fully open sandbox, type stuff. I don't even think that works very well for a game like this. But, just the ability, like theoretically, I like the idea of theoretically being able to just start in one area and then just like, I don't know, just like have a stream where I just like, I don't stop. Like I never go into a village, and I just go through all the different areas. Maybe I'm timing myself or something like that. I got to get to the other side, or I got to like, find a certain, find a certain number of monsters, or even just like just exploring randomly. Like it just feels like it makes the game seem so much more accessible if you just want to like chill and just like mess around, so it did feel good doing that in the Guiding Lands. Yeah, it did. Like the Guiding Lands was about, open up, was about open enough that you could kind of mess around with that. And I did do that towards the end of Iceborne. So, overall, really excited for the seamless world. And hoping I get more, instead of being like on having a to-do list and like, oh, I got to do this and then I got to do this, got to do this. Maybe I can explore a little. Maybe we can do a little bit of wanderlust, all right. Number 5, open world multiplayer. Building on the seamless world thing, the open world thing. I think the coolest thing about the multiplayer that I've seen so far is the ability to link worlds and explore one person's world together with like 3 other players. I think that's awesome. So building on top of what I just said, being able to do that with friends is insane, especially if you've got like 3 friends that are brand new to this franchise and you want to like hold their hand through it. I can do that now. I can do that now with my friends that haven't played a lot of Monster Hunter. We can just, they can just link me into their world, and I'll be like, hey, look, I can talk to them over Discord and be like, hey, look at this. Okay, do you see this thing right here? Pick this thing up. You see this thing over here? Do this. You see this over here? Do that. And that is a big deal that they're doing that. That's the kind of things like that are what give like Minecraft or like GTA their legs, in my opinion. You know, that's like what like people play those games for, is that they can just like explore around in an open area and just really like mess around with their friends, check stuff out, show each other things. That's a big deal. It's not as like wide open as those games, and the multiplayer in general is still a bit clunky. Like what you have to do to get that to work, I feel like navigating the menus is clunky, but it is still like an incredible step forward. And I think that's going to be a big like benefit for people that have, friends that they want to get into it and stuff like that. So, yeah, like my background gameplay where I'm struggling. I really love that. No need to join specific hunts together. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna add like a whole new like vibe, because it's not mission driven anymore. So, okay, halfway through. So number 6, focus mode. Let's talk about gameplay a little bit. Focus mode is such a game changer, man. Being able to aim your combos and adjust, like the direction that they're heading mid-attack, revolutionary. I haven't been playing the series this long, but I played it long enough to know that, when you launch if you're playing, what's an example? If you're maining Charge Blade and you've got an SAED that you want to let off, and you mess up lining up, you mess up the lineup with that, you're screwed. You're empty. You're losing all your files. You're whiffing horribly. You're looking embarrassed in front of chat, and it's just over for you. But now you can aim it. That's a huge deal. I've caught myself trying to use focus mode while playing Monster Hunter Rise with dual blades when I do Demon Slash, because I was doing that when I tried it in the Wilds beta. It's just so handy. You can like execute these like, powerful moves that you were maybe normally a little bit more cautious about doing, and you can adjust on the fly. Huge, big deal. Aiming is revolutionary. It is. For this game, it is. For this game, it is, at least, I like that it's optional. I like that they didn't turn the whole game into a third-person tank controls game or whatever, I guess. But I think being able to contextually aim like that, once you get the hang of it, I think it's a big deal. So I love turning to smack the monster in the face with my TCS. Oh, yeah, like for Greatsword, especially with the, was it True Charge Slash? It's so good. It like makes it so much more viable if you're not like, if you wanted to like, play a really like fun, slow, powerful class like that or weapon like that, but you maybe didn't want to like get perfect with positioning and stuff. It's awesome. So really excited about that. I think it's going to massively impact like, high skill gameplay, obviously, but even like for low skill stuff, that's like this is one of the core things that makes a lot of these other weapons more accessible now. So number 7, monster upgrades. And in particular, I'm talking about like AI and overall monster behavior upgrades. So for me, this is exciting because Capcom really did promise smarter, more reactive monsters. And from what I've played, it feels like they nailed it. Like a lot of like hunting these monsters feels a lot more real than it did in the past, quote unquote. You really feel like a monster hunter, it makes you feel like Dark Souls. I mean, like Monster Hunter. But like, to get specific, like, you'll notice that monsters now, more so than before, they already were pretty dynamic in these older games that I've played, but definitely in Wilds, they really seem to have like a very multifaceted behavior set. I'm not even talking like move set, but just general behaviors on top of moves, in and around moves. It kind of gives the impression of a personality, like Gypsyros, for example, I got, that thing has its own personality built into it, and that's not even like an Apex monster or something. Another thing is like, random chaotic encounters and like turf wars and stuff like that. They happen all the time now, and they feel much more unscripted and immersive. Like they just feel like it feels very natural that they're happening. It's to the point where it's a viable strategy to trigger a turf war, but you don't necessarily know when it's going to happen. Like it'll, if it happens, it happens, and it's good, and you can expect it to happen, but it's not so robotically triggered like maybe something like the turf war to transitioning into wyvern riding combo thing that you did in Monster Hunter Rise, for example. And it's much more frequent than like a turf war that you would see in Monster Hunter World. So who needs to bring a monster into the hunt for a turf war? Just Power Clash. You are the turf war. That's true as well. You can throw down with the with the monsters yourself if you want to. That's totally valid. But beyond that, like in particular, and I'll get into this in a bit, but like tougher, like more prominent monsters like the Apex, maybe it seems like Apex monsters in the flagship, they really seem like very intelligent creatures, not just like scripted AI bosses or whatever. So I like fighting Ray Dow and fighting Arkveld. They felt very, I'm going to save this for the next point, but like they felt very dynamic and interesting. Just overall, like but like overall with all of the monsters, I really felt like I wasn't fighting like, it's a video game enemy and it does these things and I can memorize their attack patterns and this and that and the other thing, and just know exactly how they behave, and now it's just a CPU. I kind of felt like, generally speaking, this game more than the other ones, I really felt like I was up against like wild thinking predators, and trying to take them down. And so to talk a little bit more about that, I'm just gonna move right into point 8, which is the new monsters. I'm very excited about the new monsters, because for a lot of reasons, but it really seems like the old monsters are going to get upgrades, and we kind of have the bias of knowing how they, the old monsters are going to get upgrades and they're going to seem more dynamic, but we kind of have the bias of we've hunted them a billion times, and to wear their skin, and we know all their different moves and stuff like that. So it's never going to feel fully fresh. But these new ones, they seem like real wild cards. And I'm really basing that off of my time with Ray Dow and Arkveld, which were some of the most like fun, immersive hunts I've ever done. They were so good. Ray Dow is so much fun. I only tried Arkveld a little bit, but even though he wiped the floor with me, it was still really fun, really engaging, really interesting. And they're so, like I said earlier, like they feel so like organic and dynamic. Like I don't feel like I'm like, how do I analyze the computer, boss, and in the game, in the software that I'm consuming as a product or whatever. It's like I felt like I was fighting like an intelligent being and feeling it out a little bit. Like, all right, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. Oh, you like Ray Dow likes to like get really crazy with its wing, with like its wing attacks and stuff like that. All right, you're kind of like that. All right, I gotta like adjust. Like it really felt more, and that's like always been the draw for Monster Hunter, I think, is that they felt like that. This one, it really felt on like another level, like much more authentic of like a hunting experience. As much as you can with like a mythical monster, a giant mythical, apex predator monster. But it did, then they're nailing it with this new technology that, that they've been afforded to work with. The other one, New Udra, that we've seen, the fire octopus that's going to be in the oil well basin. We've watched a lot of gameplay from that for this channel or on this channel, and that one is like is an even better example of what they are willing and able to do when they just are starting from scratch with this current tech that they're working with, and the lack of limitations that I guess they have now. That thing, It's very creative in how it moves. Its tentacles all appear to move independently of each other and the body. So any one of them can just like decide to attack any one of the hunters engaged in a hunt, separate from the actual body. It would do crazy things like squish its entire, squish the octopus body into a small hole to like travel up to, a different area of the map. It was just very like that fight just looked so fresh and different. And we watched the developer diary about it, and they were just very clear that like they'd never done this and they wanted to do this. So it's Capcom very clearly they went all out using like this new tech to make these like new creatures like feel different. And so that's why I'm particularly excited to see what they do with these, new monsters. Maybe this also applies to like old monsters that haven't been around for a while. It's going to be pretty exciting to see like what they do with those in this new game. But that like it was Ray Dow and Arkfeld, and then seeing New Udra really sold me as like, I want to see what they do with these brand new monsters, because they've got like a huge a huge toolbox that they're drawing from clearly. So, or pulling from. So I'm very, very, very excited for that. So, but yeah, so that's point number 8. Or thing number 8 I'm most excited about. Okay, number 9, the drip. Guys, the drip. I think, can we all agree the drip is like, what an improvement over like past games, but especially World. They look all of the weapons and armor look absolutely inspired this time around. Playing World, like World's early weapons, they definitely looked too plain. They looked way too plain. They got better eventually, but they got better in like Iceborne. They got better in Master Rank, they got cool in Master Rank, I'll say. Rise was very cool and very flashy, but they were very like Japan-centric designs, which is fine. But I think that style like appeals to a much more niche audience than what we're dealing with in Wilds. So they leaned into their own unique niche aesthetic, but it was kind of like limited to that. Wild seems to have the best balance. It's intricate, stylish, unique, it's really fun to just look at like all the crazy designs on these weapons and armor, and then like you can like really make the connection visually between the weapon and like the monster that it came from now, or the armor. Just wait until you see Sunbreak armors. Master Rank goes hard. Yeah, but that's the thing again. Like with that, like same thing. Same thing. They had to wait till Master Rank. These are the basic monsters for Wilds. These are like the basic these are the basic monsters, and they're going like pretty freaking hard. In terms of style, design. But yeah, so overall, drip is amazing, or looks amazing so far in Monster Hunter Wilds. And then last but not least, for me, this is a personal one that I'm very excited about, is ongoing updates and events. So this is probably not new for a lot of you, but for me, this is actually my first time experiencing a live Monster Hunter release. And that's exciting to me. I started playing Monster Hunter in August 2024. We're February 2025 right now. So I have only really experienced Monster Hunter games with like all the extra bells and whistles already added on top, and everybody already playing them. And there being all these different options for me to pick and choose from, or rush through, or skip around on, and stuff like that. I didn't even know for the longest time that they added like charge blades. In World, they added charge blades, Savage Axe in Iceborne. I didn't even realize that, despite chat telling me, I think. I didn't even realize that for like several dozen hours into Iceborne. Actually, just like several hundred hours playing the game at all. Because I started with charge blade earlier than that. So I've never been through the incremental community-driven experience of like playing base game and then getting, new quests every however many weeks, and then getting a new monster every however many months, and then hearing about the expansion and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to like see like, you know, how much of just this game I consume, and, you know, like how quickly, and then what I do when I run out of content, and, you know, like how long multiplayer lasts, like how long this stuff lasts on its own. So Joe wasn't even in base on launch too. Yeah, and like by the time I got to it, that seems so seamlessly integrated. Like you could have fooled me if it wasn't for the special, I think like the blue event quest marker or something. You know, or there's some kind of special, there's designated somehow. So, yeah, so I mean, like the Mizutsune event that they announced already has me excited. Mizutsune is like my favorite monster that I've seen in Monster Hunter Rise so far. I'm only doing a base game before I switch to Wilds. We're gonna do Sunbreak later, but so that event's already got me excited, and you know, I think it's gonna be really fun to just like play this multiplayer game that's pretending to be a single player game, you know, and switch back and forth between single and multiplayer, and be able to engage with you guys, like the audience and chat and the broader community, and you know, and just kind of evolve, you know, my character, my playstyle along as the game evolves. I've always thought that seemed like a really cool thing that you guys get to do. So I'm really excited that they're doing that again. It seems to be a winning combo because it doesn't upset people with like rushing the game out too quickly or too unfinished, and pacing them so that they don't have to wait and get bored in between, you know, now and the next DLC or the next expansion. And it also, you know, they can still pack a ton of content into a game, but stretch it out over time and not have to charge like $100 for, you know, something, you know, that's bigger than a normal sized game. So I think that's going to be really fun. So that is all of my, those are my 10 things I'm most excited for. So chat, I want you guys to tell me right now, what are you most hyped about that maybe I didn't talk about, or something else or maybe something that I did. Tell me right now in chat what you're most excited about. And while you're doing that, I'm going to get into some things that I was going to cover, some things that I've seen people say that didn't quite make the list as like honorable mentions. So someone already said the first one that I was going to talk about. Psychotroop said it, story. So the story is a lot of people are excited for the story. I know there's, you know, it seems like it's going to have like a deeper narrative. Maybe it'd be a little bit more intense, but more emotionally driven. You know, I think the intensity, I think the sound design, like and the music and stuff is like really helping with the setting, by the way, for that. So I am curious about that. But for me personally, Monster Hunter is, you know, it's about gameplay first. So I'm not as focused on story, but I'm open to it. The stories in World and Rise were very meh for me. They just kind of felt like they were there, just kind of shoehorned in, very kind of little cliche, but they weren't bothering me, and they weren't really hindering my experience because the game is so gameplay centric and so good. So the other one I saw people talking about, maybe I touched on it a little bit, but having two weapons, I'm interested in this a little bit, but I would just say that I'm not as excited for it as I thought I would be, because when I played it in the demo, the way that they've got it set up, or in the beta, is the way they've got it set up is that you have to like call your sacred to change weapons, to change between the two weapons that you choose when you go out hunting. And it's really like intentionally done, I think, to like make it so that you can't seamlessly switch weapons on the fly in like combat. And I just think that's just not as interesting as if you were able to like transition on the fly. I think if you were able to switch on the fly, or if they add that in the expansion, that would totally turn the game on its head. So I kind of understand why they didn't do it, but you know, just being like, oh, okay, now I'm going to get on my sacred, now I'm going to change to something else. That sort of just makes it more useful for like, you know, support driven cases where, like, let's say you're a dual blades user and you want to have, which is very like elemental damage driven. So you could just have two different element types, so you have more coverage as you're out exploring and running into monsters randomly. That would be like useful. You know, you can use the heavy bow gun. You know, you can there's like an ammo that you can use to buff yourself. So you could buff yourself on the Sacred with the heavy bow gun, and then switch to like Greatsword or something and go nuts, for 3 minutes or something like that. But the other thing I thought that where it might be useful is like maybe it'll be helpful with first time fights if you like invest in learning like 2 different play styles, like maybe like dual blades and greatsword, and maybe like one of them or like greatsword and bow or something like that. And so maybe like you can like handle more first time fights sequentially if you're out in an open area or something like that. Like let's say you run up on a monster you've never fought before, you start trying to fight it with great swords, not going so well, so you like switch to bow and you're like, oh, this works a bit better for this one until I get better fighting this one. Because some monsters you just depending on the weapon type and depending on your personal experience, like some monsters it'll like click, but a lot of monsters you just need to like practice. So but yeah, that's so I'm just not fully certain how big of a deal that's going to be. So exploring, let's see what else chat said. Exploring will be big for sure. Yes, definitely, I agree. How the new end game will be. Yes, I'm going to be very curious to see what they're doing. It sounds like there's a few different I don't know. I don't want to give spoilers or anything, so I won't say too much. But it sounds like there's a few like alterations maybe to monsters that are done based on what we've seen in trailers. It's not clear exactly like what that's going to be. So it's very interesting. New deco system and such. Yeah, that'll be cool to see as well. I haven't like learned a lot at all about like how decos are being handled this time, but I think I heard it was much more reasonable. So. I can't wait to learn all the neat little environmental traps. Yeah, that's going to be fun too. I'm curious to see like do I get immersed enough in the world that I just start looking at all of the environment for potential traps, or do I still have to just go on the map and check the mini map constantly? Like, is this interactable? Is there an icon that I can use? Because I missed so many environmental traps in World. That was like the worst thing I did. So, but yeah, so yeah, that's our coverage, basically, of everything we're excited about. First me, now chat. Monster Hunter Wilds is really shaping up to be, like, insane. It seems like it's going to be so much fun, so enjoyable, and, I really can't wait to jump in. But let me know in the comments what you think is going to be, what you're most excited about, what you're most looking forward to. And in the meantime, drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. It helps me out. And also, definitely go over to twitch.tv/Gaijin Hideout and drop a follow so that you can be notified when I go live, because I will be going live a lot coming launch day of Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm going to be playing the hell out of this game for like a week straight. I'm like locking in on it. So if you're interested in like a new streamer, I've got like about 500 hours experience at this point. Newish Monster Hunter streamer. Got a bit of experience. I'll have to stop saying noob after this next week, I think. But if you're interested in seeing someone like me try out a game like Wilds, definitely check that out. But yeah. And you can, good point, Stealth Kill, and join the Discord, YouTube people. So yeah, there is a Discord where we have people that are much more experienced than me, very good monster hunters that are, they're regularly chatting in there, coordinating. They like to hunt and stuff like that. So if you want to learn how to get better, you're looking for people who are good to help you and stuff like that, or just people to hunt with, definitely do that as well. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Only 6 days until release. Can't wait. Me neither, man. But I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.